Hate no longer hides behind hoods. This was the scene in the liberal college town of Charlottesville, Virginia on Friday, reminiscent of images from a dark American past.
This is our town now!
Hundreds of white nationalists from across the country descended upon the University of Virginia's campus ahead of a planned demonstration to protest the removal of the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee.
What's up, YouTube? This is Abstract Thought. So I want to talk about something that I think is interesting. I want to talk about the huge divide between the political left and the political right in America. And I want to get at the core of why it seems like the right and the left are dividing more and more as time goes on. I want to know why it's that way and how it got that way. And, you know, I watch a lot of news on TV and on the internet, etc., and I see everyone bickering about current events. But I don't see anybody talking about why they believe what they believe. What's your philosophical basis for what you believe? Let's start from basic axioms and work from there. Let's see where we diverge in the beginning. Let's have philosophical conversations about our differences. There's no way we can get at the core of our problems if we're going to bicker about what exists at the top of our beliefs, at the top of the pyramid of our beliefs, when at the bottom we have all these foundational views that are just going unnoticed and not talked about. So I want to start now a campaign to get down into to the brass tacks of philosophy and psychology behind all these problems that we're facing right now in politics. And I want to start with this one particular idea. Now, this is a psychological basis for our political differences, not the psychological basis, because there's a lot more to psychology in politics than this. But this is an issue that I think is worth discussing, so here it is. The political left in America is a manifestation of the archetypal mother. She's loving, accepting, cooperative, and idealistic, but potentially to a fault. She's too often a pushover, too often letting her child get their way, thereby generating entitled, overly sensitive, bratty personalities. In the societal macrocosm, this entitled, overly sensitive personality concretizes itself in destructive political inclinations and policies. Anti-free speech, safe spaces, defining offensive language as violence, generally an emphasis on social justice and personal feelings to a perverse degree. The political right in America is a manifestation of the archetypal father. He's wise, strong, stern, competitive, and practical, but potentially to a fault. While imparting these virtues to his child, he neglects the child's feelings and becomes an authoritarian, ruling over him without showing any semblance of cooperation in the relationship. This develops in the child an insensitive personality capable of inhumane acts to achieve its ends and prove its worth to its patriarch. In the societal macrocosm, this heartless personality concretizes itself in needless war, neglect for the poor, disabled, and marginalized. These two psychological forces in isolation from each other are dangerous. An example of the political left in isolation from the right is the carnage wrought by 20th century communism. An example of the political right in isolation from the left is the carnage wrought by 20th century fascism. What we see today in America is a societal coexistence between the political right and left, but a growing ideological isolation between the two. The situation is made possible by mechanisms of ideological division never seen before. Google and YouTube and the plethora of news outlets all keep us in cultural political echo chambers based on our search history and previous preferences. The more you search right-wing news and sites, for example, the more YouTube and Google will favor and suggest those in the future. This means we're increasingly less likely to be subjected to alternative political views, making us intolerant in those views and uncontrollably more extreme in our own. This is a recipe for the downfall of America. What we need now more than ever is to make a conscious effort to understand the basis of political views which are different from our own. We're likely to find that others' views are not only kind of reasonable within their own contexts, but to some degree inextricable from our own. We'll find that when we really look into the positions of others' views, that they're just like us in trying to make the world a better place. I mean, even if we disagree with them. It seems that everybody is trying to make the world a better place as they think it will work in their own parameters. We do this by realizing that neither the archetypal mother of the left nor the archetypal father of the right are psychologically dispensable. We need both to achieve a stable, healthy society. We need male discipline and order just as much as we need female love and compassion. So here's what we can do to begin building a bridge between the left and the right. Just like a child needs both their father and mother to develop a healthy personality, we need both the right and the left to develop a healthy politics. Stop watching and reading partisan news. On the left, you have The Daily Show, The Guardian, The Huffington Post. On the right, you have Fox News, Breitbart, shows like Rush Limbaugh, etc. If you can't stop watching or reading your favorite biased news, then at least start reading and watching both equally every day. If you're open-minded enough to do it, you would learn even more by watching more of the opposing views than that of your own. So I want us to get deeper down into why people believe what they believe. So I'm talking, if you are a leftist progressive, you should be getting involved with understanding even people like David Duke and give them a fair chance. Now look, I know that might sound crazy to you, but you have to do it. You have to, if anything, you have to do it to understand your enemy. But better than that, how could you possibly find yourself to be a reasonable person if you're not going to consider all people's views, at least all people who actually have an influence in the world? You have to consider the views. And if you're a staunch right-wing white separatist or something like that, you need to watch shows like The Daily Show. You need to watch The Young Turks. You have to get to know what these people believe. And I know that you're going to hate it. But at some point, if you keep inundating yourself with it, you're going to see that within the context of what they believe, within the surrounding context, what they believe is not so irrational. And none of this means that we should accept what they're saying in all aspects. But we have to know that they're not they're not evil. And there's so many people out there who believe that those who oppose them are evil. That's completely ridiculous. People are not evil unless, they're psychotic, unless they're truly insane. But for the most part, people are reasonable within their own context. And so I think we need to understand that it gives us just enough time, it gives us just enough information to sympathize to some degree about what they're saying and to not think that they're evil. Because once we think they're evil, it's all over and it's just a war. It's just a plain old war. So we need to get past the notion that our opposition is evil, just that we disagree with them. That's all. Thanks a lot.